What is up, Lightfighters? Welcome back to the channel. As always, this is Lightfighters Anonymous, the show where the tactics are made up, the techniques do not matter, and nothing you say in the comment section can hurt my feelings after enough therapy. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you are a follower of this channel, you guys know that last weekend we completed our first FTX in the field, and it was an absolute blast. So I've got a quick little bit of some AAR for you guys, as well as some cool thermal footage that I'm going to be editing together. And it doesn't have any audio with it, so this is going to be primarily a voiceover for it. So stay tuned after the intro.
Eagle 2, this is Lightfighter 1-1. How copy? Over.
Contact! Contact!
1-1, this is Eagle 2. Good copy. Send traffic. Over.
Guys, thanks for hanging through the intro. As you know, we completed our FTX last weekend, and first things first, I want to give a huge shout out to the guys that came out and participated. They put not only their time off on the line, but their entire weekend, as well as put themselves out there for an entirely new experience with a new group of guys. So shout out to you guys for making this happen. Also, an incredible amount of effort was put out from these guys. The patrolling was very hard by my standards, actually. Everybody put out, everybody achieved. And I think everybody had a good time, and everyone's welcome back, and I think we're growing from here. So I want to see everybody in May, and I'm excited for that event, guys. All right, guys, obviously this event is kind of a training event, so I didn't spend a lot of time taking media footage, but we did get some fun photos from it, and hopefully I can throw some of the better ones up on the screen. I don't know who of these guys do or do not want their faces shown, but what I do have is some awesome thermal footage from a night operation, a night mission that occurred at like 3 to 5 a.m. in the morning. I was able to record a lot of our movement on my thermal, and it doesn't record audio. And without a good description and a good layout, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and use my voice here as a voiceover over this thermal footage and kind of give you a grander scheme of things and try to make that thermal footage make a little bit of sense to you guys. Hopefully I can throw a big map on the screen, the same map I've got right here. This is just a sample of our AO. What this is just kind of a northern section of AO Swan. This is where our squad was personally responsible for. Our squad's mission for a 24-hour period over the period of Saturday 9 a.m. till Sunday 9 a.m. Was reconnaissance and security patrolling in the northern sector of AO Swan. We were I think 11 or 10-man patrol element. We stepped off from our AA. We did not do a formal passage of lines. We kind of skipped that formal stuff just to give us some grace and some time because we had a hard movement. And we moved to our patrol base. And it was about I would say about a 5 to 6K movement off trail over hills and over Ozark Hills. It was pretty intense. But where that patrol base landed us is on just the west side of what's called Tater Hill here in our AO. And we were just over the western crest. We found kind of a natural defensive posture, some excellent rocks that gave us, complete good defilade cover, able to posture there for the night and then push reconnaissance and security patrols eastward, focused on this ridge line called Loving Ridge. You'll notice if I pull up another map with some enhanced topography, these are 20-meter, these are 20-meter intervals that are currently on my map right here, but the topography of this whole area is incredibly significant. All right, at about 6 or 7 o'clock at night, we got a call from higher during a comms window that gave us a frag order. This was a call from our higher, call it battalion, platoon, whatever you wish it to be, but it basically said that MSR 125, which was a hardball road that was running north-south to the west side of this AO, well out of our AO. We were using it, or the battalion was using it for a supply route for everything of their supplies, and they say that there were UAV bombers and attack drones that were flying out of this big, large, heavy canopied, heavy forested area and attacking the MSR 125. They said that they were able to witness this. A few convoy vehicles got attacked. Some people got killed and they were pissed off about it, so they had launched some higher level air assets up in the area to scout and find out where this drone team was located, and they were able to watch it fly back in above Loving Ridge here right off. This is UU Highway, and land there. They said they were able to watch it refit, send out another drone, and complete another attack mission. So they were very confident. They had high confidence where the bad guys were located. They called us because we were the QRF in the area for this kind of mission. They said, hey, they're right here. We can see them on thermal via our higher level drones. They're even running a generator. They're in like a small formation. We can see 2 or 3 individuals, and they're refitting their drone here. Go bust them up. So that was our mission for the night. So with our patrol already having made a significant daytime movement and also another fairly significant daylight patrol for reconnaissance, most of our guys were pretty smoked. Now we had some hard chargers that were not even slightly phased by this. Shout out to them. But most of the guys needed a little bit of a rest cycle, so we went into a 6-hour down period rest cycle at approximately 1800, and that took us till about 2 a.m. We pulled, I think, approximately about 25% security. However, I was awake most of the night. I think I heard a lot of the guys scurrying around. I was checking in on security, and we pulled a good security watch until about 2 a.m. in the morning when time changed to 3 a.m. At that point, we were able to step off from our patrol base with a plan, okay? And I had briefed this plan to our team leaders in the patrol earlier in the night during our downtime, so everyone was aware. And I'll go ahead and brief you guys the plan right now. We had the enemy located on this finger just north of Loving Ridge, just west of Missouri UU. They were approximately 4 kilometers as the crow flies from our actual patrol base. It was going to be about a 4.5 kilometer movement as the trail varied. Our reconnaissance early in the day had gotten as far as about this bend here in Loving Ridge, and they said that there was an intersection that took a road down this finger right there, and we had a pretty good idea that the enemy had not pushed any further forward than this area. So we decided that we were going to use that point or close to it as an ORP and drop our rucks at that point, and then move out to assault positions to attack the actual enemy UAV camp or reconnaissance team, again located on this finger north of Loving Ridge right up here. So that is what we did at 3 a.m. We woke up. We were able to sack up in an impressive amount of time in pitch black darkness, considering a lot of these guys had not done this a whole ton. A lot of these guys had not done many green side operations, and especially blackout at 3 a.m. when you're already tired. It makes it even harder. But we were able to sack up in like 20 minutes tops, and we were out of the patrol base, rucks on, and I went ahead and took lead. This was because, one, I had an advantage of night optics. I had a thermal scanner that I was able to wear on my head, as well as my night optic. And we did use the trail as a high-speed avenue of approach. You're going to say, oh, don't use trails. Well, sometimes you got to use trails. One, first off, it was the only way we were going to get there before morning time while it was still dark. And we wanted that advantage of the night to fight these guys because we're light fighters, and that's what we fucking do. We wanted to catch them while they were sleeping. Also, the high-speed avenue of approach in these woods is quieter. It's so much significantly quieter than crashing through the woods and the sticks and the leaves. Going cross terrain is noisy. We had a lot of guys out here who hadn't done a lot of, I'll call them Ozark, Missouri, greenside operations. And Supermoto, they'd pull security in the prone on their rucks, pointing out over their rifle. And I was like, guys, I appreciate the effort. That's badass and all. But, we're out here for a long time, and you're going to hear sticks and twigs breaking for 250 meters away, and you only have lines of sight that are like 50 to 100. So you can hear the enemy in this terrain so much faster and so much sooner than you ever see them. The sound alerts you to the presence of bad guys. So this trail is quiet, and when the night's already quiet, that's why we chose to use a trail. It's both high speed and it's quiet. That affords us more security in general than being off trail would. So utilizing the trail, we moved about, I'd say 2 kilometers till about 4:15, just after 4 in the morning, where just past this bend, we went ahead and dropped rucks. I knew we had a real long movement to make. So we went ahead and dropped rucks, I'd say right about in this grid square here. And then took a piss break, drank some water real fast, made sure everyone was still on track, and made sure everyone was preparing for contact at the north end of the trail. Everyone knew the plan, and my team leaders were still in place. Everybody's good to go. We did our ORP task, finalized, dropped rucks, do all that shit we need to do, and then we stepped off towards our assault. All right, so we stepped off on our patrol. We hit our ORP, and we've and we've dropped rucks. And you can see here that I finally remembered to turn on my thermal camera and get a look back at the patrol members behind me. That's some of the guys. You can see they're just kind of again smoking and joking. A couple of the guys had to pee. We dropped rucks, drinking water. Our patrol was really low on water at this point. And again, you can say, where's security? Well, I got a couple of boys still pulling security, adjusting nods after taking off their rucks and such like that. Again, you say it looks a little lax on security, and I could agree with you entirely. But it's 4 in the morning. We've been already moved 2 kilometers to an ORP that we were pretty sure was in the clear. And you can hear the enemy for so much further than you can see them. And then I also was wearing a thermal scanner. I can see down that road much further than the guys with night vision. So really our only thing we were worried about is somebody come trotting down that road about 100 meters, about 50 meters, seeing us before we see them with thermals and then opening up on us. Again, though, you can still hear people on these trails. So you can see us just kind of chilling, maxing and relaxing, getting that last breath of fresh air before we step off. I don't know how long this actual clip is. I'm going to have to edit out the portion of the guys taking leaks, so we don't want to show that on YouTube. But there's the trail there in front of us, that direction, behind us. And yeah, sometimes my camera's obviously looking at the ground or not in focus. I was wearing night vision on my right eye, so sometimes you'll see that I'm using my right eye to look around and navigate. Sometimes I'm using my thermal. So that's the first video right there. Let's go ahead and check out the second one. This one's a little bit longer, but it is a little bit of movement right there. So this one here, let me get ready. So this video starts me looking back at the patrol. We are actually moving right there, and it swings forward down the trail right there. And you can see that I'm kind of just looking at brush, scanning. I'm looking for thermal blips, thermal signatures in the tree line, specifically focusing the left side of the trail, which is the north, but giving a good scan each direction. Sometimes when it looks like I'm not staring at anything, I might be using my right eye to navigate with the night vision again. Check my depth perception, make sure I'm not going to step over anything. It's going to trip me up or make too much noise. So as we're going, we're not moving that fast. As I look back at the patrol, you'll see that we're in a fairly tight formation, and there's a thermal blip right there. And that is a chipmunk on a tree. You can't even tell it had a little bushy tail on it. Yep, you can kind of see the tail on that little sucker. Again, check my patrol. When I'm looking back, I'm trying to get a quick head count. Right there wasn't a good angle for it, so I didn't even bother. But I'm going to step off around this bend, and I'm probably going to look back at them, count them up from the back to the front. That was just easier for me to count heads than have these guys pass up pace counts in the dark. Some of these guys would have been super professional and fine with it. Some of these guys would have been a little confused being asked for the first time head counts and pace counts. So there we go. I can see all 9 members behind me in my patrol. I'm the 10th man. And we're off down the trail right there in front of me. And you can kind of see how the trail, is obviously has contrast, hot and cold. Again, it's kind of a mixture of gravel, mud, and leaves that have been trampled, and it's much quieter than the woods around it left and right. And to give you guys some perspective, it is incredibly dark in these woods. We are under canopy, and it is there's moon that is kind of rising and falling at this point. So at some point we have amazing moonlight. It drips below the horizon and comes right back up towards the end of our patrol. Gives us some more moonlight. But for the most part, under this canopy, you can barely see the guy in front of you and behind you, and you can't see anything into the tree line. Once you're off the trail into these woods at all, you really just cannot see a thing, even through night vision. It's just a kind of a messy blur. So really, truthfully, if I stepped off the trail, the guys behind me, if I stepped off and ran into the woods, they'd have a real significant time following me or seeing me without cat eyes or a thermal. But we're going to continue down this trail a little bit. I saw another little thermal blip earlier, but I'm just scanning for those thermal blips. Obviously looking for large ones that can be people-sized, but there's a couple there in the trees. You can see them in the ground. I can immediately see that they're very small, and it doesn't alert me to stop for any reason. Here coming up soon, I believe I see some deer, and it's hilariously is a couple deer that were close, and they made noise first. This might be the deer. But they made noise and alerted the patrol that there was some movement over there, which got us to stop. And then I saw some larger thermal signatures. I'm like, oh shit, this might be it, you guys. Prepare for contact. I stopped my patrol, and then I stepped off a little bit further down the road just to get a better angle. We were really quiet. And I realized then I could see antlers, and I could see 3 of them, and it was deer. And just brought the patrol up, kept moving. So that's the end of that one right there. Now, that was basically a lot of our movement to and from. This last video starts with, I wish I started this last video for you guys a little bit earlier. But let me go ahead and orient you guys on the map to the plan. Back to the map here. All right, so back to the map for a quick second. When we left ORP, we were just actually off this map right here, but we moved down, and it took us about, I'd say, another hour to work towards our assault positions. I did stop the patrol, obviously, a few times when I saw thermal signatures, but we disregarded them quickly when we were able to see that they were, the wildlife. Finally, as we patrolled down Loving Ridge and finally made this bend, I was able to see a thermal signature that was significant enough to stop the patrol, approximately 150 meters northeast of Loving Ridge Road. At this point, I kind of oriented for a second and determined that this was most likely one where we were told the enemy were, and 2, it was enemy-sized thermal blips on the radar. So our plan was, once we were able to orient on the enemy, I was going to take my support team, which was our Bravo team element, and they were in the rear, and I was going to take them up and move them on line northing from the trail to the objectives west. And they were going to make our support by fire position. At that point, I was going to return down to Loving Ridge Road where the assault team was and dispatch with them or move with them from the assault position down Loving Ridge Trail as quietly and as sneakily as possible to the enemy objectives south, and then make an assault by fire position. At that point, our initiate was a single red aerial flare, and then our shift fire command, we were going to use a shift fire, was a second red aerial flare. And then we had a third red hand signal flare as an emergency that I was going to hold. And if the flares failed, we'd at least have a red flare on our element so our support by fire team wouldn't light us the fuck up. Again, we were limited nods in the SBF team. They had one thermal LSW with a thermal, and then they had a team leader with some 7 Bravos or something. But many of them got actually set in by me over their shoulder. I braced them up against a tree. I oriented their gun as best I could over their shoulder, said, hold your gun right here as best you can. You got a minute to stay still until I get to the assault position to make my way down. When you see the flare, dump your magazine and try to keep it as steady as you can, because this guy really couldn't see his target. But he was part of the support team, and that was the job. So the support team was able to make the support by fire position without being foiled by enemy. I was orienting them as best I could with the capabilities we had. I then returned to the assault position, and that's when, obviously, so we kick it off from here. Let me go to the thermal footage, and you'll see here. Okay, so this is the third thermal video here. And let me go ahead right away and pause it right when we got the guys in formation. So there we go. That is a good shot right there, paused, of our support by fire position. You can see they're not far off that trail. They are maybe 10 meters off the trail, then they begin at every good position I could get them in, oriented just wide enough so they weren't just shooting right on top of each other. When I was setting them in, this was noisy. It was noise. I was walking on, not trail. So leaves, sticks, twigs, and some of these guys didn't have night vision to orient, so they were just grabbing my pack and following me in. We were absolutely had alerted the OPFOR that we were positioning on them at this point. We had not received any fire. Had we received fire at this point, our plan was to open up and attempt to still fix the assault. But we were lucky enough to set up the entire support team without starting fire. We got them to orient, and then I returned to the assault position where I am now, looking back on the support team that is north of me in the woods. So I'll look quickly here. Let's play it. This is my assault team just to my left, getting in position. And I'm going to go ahead and move down this trail here to my right. And I'm taking them out right now. And you'll see that I'm looking for the OPFOR. You can see they're in the woods here a little bit. You'll be able to see them. Just a second. There they are. There's a little blip. There they are, actually. All right, at this point, you can see I'm lasing them. I'm using my IR laser to orient my assault team on them. I am lucky that they were not using nods at this point, or that would have foiled us. But I did laze just so my assault team knew exactly our orientation and if anything happened, where to direct their fires. And we're creepy crawling around. I did check the sky there because I'm about to launch a flare to initiate. I think I've got my hands on my flare at this point. I checked that little heat signature, make sure it doesn't look like anything like a tripwire or mine, but there's the OPFOR right there. I go ahead and zoom in and confirm. I can almost see a rifle shouldered right there at the low ready. So yep, that's our guys. They are armed. That is OPFOR. They are where we were told they were, and we are getting ready to initiate. And again, wearing the nod on my right eye, so I'm using that to navigate a little bit sometimes when you see me staring at nothing. And there's the OPFOR in the woods there. And now we can see we're about 50 meters due south of them. And we were able to make this movement pretty quietly, and our previous movement to their west had made a lot of noise. So I'm not 100% sure they knew the assault team was here, and that was the idea. We knew the terrain would be much quieter down the trail, and positioning the support team would be noisy. So ideally, they're still oriented and worried about the support team to their west while we're creeping east along their south, if that makes sense. So here I can take a knee. We are now in our assault by fire position, and I'm digging out a flare. And you'll see some sparks when I shoot the first one. I think I checked the sky here. Make sure everybody's ready. I whispered up, look up, get ready to flare. Probably fucking with the flare. Okay, that's making sure everybody's ready. There's the canopy, making sure. There's the flare in my hands right in front of me. It went off. That was the first flare right there. And now we have initiated fire pretty significantly from the support by fire position. They are dumping. You can't see it. I can't see muzzle flashes right now. That was the second flare right there, and it was a little soon. That was our shift fire. I jumped the gun a little bit. I should have given this support by fire team a little bit more time to make some noise and chew it up. But I was giddy. I wanted to get some too. So at this point, we are assaulting straight north into the enemy objective. Now you can see we get gaggle fucked up because some of those guys don't have nods on. And that's just how it happens. Now we're trying to orient on the bad guys. I'm trying to use my laser at this point to orient my guys with nods. It's still incredibly hard to see the OPFOR if they're not returning fire actively. So I'm lasing a little bit and we're moving to some more cover. And I'm using my thermal fairly little at this point. I'm using my night vision device and my laser primarily to engage and point out the enemy. And we're also yelling at the bad guy, or yelling at my teams, trying to keep them online, trying to keep the assault team moving forward and assaulting. Letting the support by fire team know that we are still alive, we are still making progress. So you can actually see me shoot a little bit there. You can see my barrel's warm, just like that. There's the OPFOR in a little huddle. Mostly dead and chewed up at this point. They got a little bit of fight left in them. We're able to put some rounds into them right there. Those are good kills. I see only backs. That is a friendly shooting into them too. Getting a little wide to make sure these guys are dead. And I'm calling my team up, making sure we're online, getting ready to sweep and continue moving through. Oh, there's one still moving. He might still be a fighter. I think I engage. A few more guys on my team engage. Now here I'm searching for my rightmost guy. I can't find him. He's just right behind me off my hip pocket. But I was hoping to stay in the middle of my team for command and control purposes. I know I've got two good guys on my left that are kicking butt. That's the first guy on my left. I got another guy just off his back left hip pocket. You can't see off camera. We were now moving again. Fairly confident that everybody's dead, or they're playing dead for us. Now this assault could have moved faster. I also could have let more time in between initiation and shifting fire. There, you can see their hands are up for the most part. Some of them are still in their fart sacks. You can't blame them, it was early. And we're, what, 5 minutes and 40 seconds-ish into the assault. Maybe about a minute less from, I had about a minute of assault position footage in there. But about 4.5 minutes into the assault. Now our times and our speed all could have been better. The terrain was tough and it was incredibly dark. If you weren't wearing nods, you could not really orient on anything besides sound out here. We're finally sweeping through. Obviously I can see OPFOR laying down, hats off, holding their arms up, saying, "Great job, guys. You guys earned it well, blah, blah, blah." Or, "You guys sucked. That was embarrassing." At this point, we sweep by, and they say, "Hey, don't go any further. We shoot over there." So I call our LOA about 5 meters earlier, maybe 10 meters earlier than I originally planned. But I now shout, we're shouting LOA, a limit of advance. That is the Alpha team leader right there. We're calling him for 360 security, or at least 180 security at this point. And you'll see I start yelling at Bravo team, support by fire team way back there. I'm like, "Get your asses up here. Come sweep the objective." Now, Bravo team starts bringing it up. Again, most of these guys unsupported by nods. This is, again, takes some time just getting them. They had about 100 meters straight through the woods to maneuver through, just to make the hasty 180. And then it took them just a little bit longer to get into a 360 and for us to announce our actions on the objective. But that's basically what occurred after this. I won't make you just watch all the footage, but there's Bravo team coming out of the woodwork right there from their support by fire position on to towards their LOA, I guess. And they do eventually make it there, but I'll go ahead and cut the footage here. There's it's my buddy Brando. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and cut the footage here. They do make it. We pull an LOA. We do some hasty actions on the objective. And that was the assault for the morning. And that was the thermal footage I had. All right, guys, as always, thank you for watching. This was just a little bit of the thermal footage I recorded on our night mission of our Lightfighter Patrol FTX. If you want to participate in something like this, or if this looks like fun to you, you can find out more information at lightfightersanonymous.com, and I'll put that at the bottom. Guys, thank you for tuning in. As always, like, subscribe, share. That means a lot to me. You guys keep me going. Kiss your mothers. Rock on and stay sharp.